Greetings, beautiful humans. So today I feel called to talk about detachment and why it is so crucial for happiness, a deep sense of happiness, and three of the main big things that really come out of it when you really find this sense of detachment. So when we attach to something, it is typically because the attachment is coming from a wound, probably stemmed from our upbringing of maybe a parent not being there, maybe an abandonment wound, maybe neglect, inconsistency, something has happened. It could be ancestral wounds that are running through you, and so it's very subconscious. But we attach to things because with these wounds, the ego, the energy trying to keep you safe will try to hold on to things because it's wanting to keep you safe. It's wanting to hold on and making sure that those past things that have happened to you won't happen again. Okay, so we attach. But the idea of attaching is gonna cause a lot of pain because it's an illusion that we can actually own something, that we can claim something, that we can look into the future and know that it's gonna have the expectation that we have, right? So attachment comes with typically a lot of fear, a lot of expectation, and with these things, this is where we can get hurt because if our attachment lets us down, or if they break up with us, or if something goes away, or if it doesn't go as planned to our expectation, this creates a lot of disappointment, right? Because the pendulum will swing of like, okay, I have this expectation, I have this attachment, and then once it's gone, if it leaves, then the pendulum swings and you're just like distraught. You're panicked. You're losing your shit, right? So that's the huge problem with attachment is it's an illusion and it's only going to create suffering, right? Like that's why the Buddhists say the biggest reason for suffering is attachment. So how do we detach, right? And why do we want to detach? So I just got to the why, but when we learn how to detach, it's when you can deeply stay in your own world. The Taoists believe that when you stay in your own world, when you stay in your own frequency, when you stay in your own lane, that's when you have control, because you can control with practice how you react to things, because it's an illusion to think that I have any external control of like if a boulder falls down on this mountain and if it hits something, like, or if a huge storm comes in, or if a big wolf wants to do, it's all out of my control. What's going on here is it's their own world, it's their own business. What's going on here is none of my business. The only business that is mine is my world. So when things happen externally around me, it is my choice. It is my control of how I'm going to react, right? And that takes a lot of self-awareness and discipline. But once we start to work on that, life doesn't get easier. You just become stronger. You become more aligned with yourself. You become more anchored into yourself, into Great Spirit. And you can then, cease to react at all. I mean, if two people are arguing in front of you, or if someone cuts you off or whatever, the more you practice this, you're not driving expecting like, no one's going to piss me off. If people like cut you off and stuff, it is your choice and your reaction of what you're going to let even phase you in your world. Like that's your power. And that's where, when you build strength in your world, and then that's essentially the goal, right? But we have to stay detached from external circumstances. And this means that when we come back to our world and we remember who we are, and I mean remembering the depths and the power of which we are. We are, when we tap into our world, like visualize the galaxy inside me and in all my cells. Visualize all of creation running through me and all of this divine intelligence streaming through me. My world contains everything. My world contains everything that I am looking for is coming from my world, me, nothing outside of me, no other person, no other thing, nothing else, because inside of my world is where I can tap into anything that I want, any feeling that I want, any energy. If I want to feel a certain feeling or visualize going to the beach and being on the beach, like I can go there within myself. And that's why Einstein said, keep using your imagination, keep using it, because the imagination is what will take you to great heights, because the mind doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. It has no idea. So when you are focusing on your world and going into your world and having that control there, then that's where all the power is, and that's where all the manifestation is, and that's where all the juice is. It's not outside of here. So when we can detach from the exterior, meaning people, places, things, this takes a lot of self-work. For me, I've had to do a lot of cleaning out my heart, cleaning out old wounds, cleaning out memories, rewiring my memories, a lot of subconscious stuff from old memories that has influenced previous patterns. I've alchemized that. And when we start to open up our hearts again without any fear and any hatred and guilt and negative dense energies, and we alchemize them into light and love and acceptance and peace and bliss, then it's easier to get into this like world of detachment. So it takes work, right? It takes practice, it takes mindfulness. But for the person who really wants to experience a blissful life, you're willing to do it. That's when you turn into a spiritual warrior and you're like, okay, like I'm going to take control over my life and my world. I'm going to alchemize this shit. I'm going to open up my heart and I'm going to like stay in my world and be empowered in my world. And as long as I have this, I know that the love that I find within myself, I will find externally to other people, because it always starts with me, as within as without. If I can love me to my depths and all my weaknesses and all my past stuff and all my shadows, I can love another person's too, because I've found that within me first. It starts with me first. So when we deeply surrender to Great Spirit and this perfect divine flow that exists all around us, then we achieve a sense of deep faith and trust. Okay? So if we have like feeling it in ourselves, this deep sense of like, okay, I trust everything is working in my favor. I have faith that everything is perfectly working out for me. Everything is supporting my world and my desires. And I trust that everything is unfolding for me perfectly. And when we can find that sense of deep faith and trust, right? Like that's what a lot of the religions are talking about and manifestations. It's like faith. It's faith, it's trust, it's pixie dust. And when we can actually, not just like understand that here in the mind, but we can actually like feel it on a deep cellular level, that's when you begin to like be in your heart space and you start to trust, and you start to trust not only yourself that you will react to things accordingly, but you will trust the universe, you will trust Great Spirit, and you will trust that other people and the things around you are perfectly happening too. You trust that everything's just perfectly in perfect accordance. Everything is perfectly playing out. Everything is perfectly happening. And when we can release the judgment on, oh, it should be this way, or oh, they should be doing this, or oh, they should be doing that, and we release the judgment on ourselves, and we can just like, everything's perfectly happening, and really allow and surrender to that deep sense of faith and trust and allowance, then that is when we know we have come into a place of detachment, because we know that everything is working perfectly in its own realm, in its own world. The world's around you and your world is perfectly like in its perfect vibration, and there's nothing to control. So surrendering is key. And when we can love with where we're at now and where everyone else is at, then we experience unconditional love. And this is the key. When we can have unconditional love for ourselves and everyone in our lives, this is what it means to be Christed. This is what it means to be very present. This is what it means to be enlightened. And a great tool to have while you're on this path of surrendering and detaching is stay curious. Instead of asking such black and white questions of like right or wrong or why is this happening, like keep it open-ended. Like if you're wondering what's happening, just be like, what's going on? And the universe and Great Spirit you'll always get an answer, but just ask open-ended, what's going on? And stay curious like a little kid, because a little kid isn't having all these expectations. A little kid's just kind of like curious and like, what's going on, and just kind of going with the flow. And so if you can embrace that energy of staying curious and just going with the flow, and you know how like little kids are like playing with other little kids, but they're not judging. They're just like being like, hey, can I come play with you? Sure, pick up a shovel and like build your own thing. Oh no, this little kid started ruining my sandcastle. They're like, they're like just kind of like pissed for a sec, but then they're just like, whatever, I'm just gonna rebuild. You know what I mean? So really tap into that that kid energy, and it's a great way to remember the energy of detachment, pure acceptance, unconditional love, and these are great tools to help you on this journey. There will be far less suffering, and to be in a place of unconditional love truly brings a heaven frequency on earth and a blissful state on earth, and life becomes a hell of a lot easier. But like I said, it's a practice, mindfulness every day, all the time. And we get stronger. It doesn't get easier. We get stronger. We get into a higher vibration, and your whole reality changes. So I hope this makes sense. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments. And thank you so much for watching. I love you. I love you. I love you.